going on, everybody? It's time for the monthly ranking video. All the movies I watched in December from worst to best, obviously. That's how we're going to do it. Not best to worst, worst to best, because I'm a traditionalist, and that's how it goes. So, yeah, we got a lot of movies to talk about, so I'm going to be very brief, because if I was to, like, talk about all these movies for a couple minutes each, and really talk about all the things I liked and didn't like about each of them, this would be a fucking hour long, at least. Like at least 45 minutes. So I'm going to try to make this like a 30-minute video, 35 at best. So let's start right now. So number 37, what is at the bottom of the barrel? What is the worst piece of shit ever? This movie pissed me off. That movie is The Godsend. Why did Shout Factory even make a fucking Blu-ray version of this movie? This movie is god-awful, piss-poor performances, unrealistic reactions. It's like losing your kid means nothing to you. It's like having a wart removed. Little reference to Black Christmas there. So this movie is fucking atrocious. Like no resolution at the end. People who just don't seem to get affected by deaths in their family. Like they need to take a page out of Hereditary's book, where if you lose a kid, it actually means something to you, and you actually shed some fucking tears and give a shit. Like, there's no impact, there's no gut punch, there's no emotion in this movie at all. There's no suspense, there's no style, there's no atmosphere. This movie is just trying to rip off the fucking Omen without actually being the Omen. There is no good thing to say about this movie. It is an abomination of a film. Fuck this movie and its stupid, ugly face. Suck my white ass. Next up is the first film that Tom Hanks did, He Knows You're Alone. This movie saw Halloween and said, hey, let's rip that off, just like Friday the 13th, except Friday the 13th is way better. This movie is pure dog shit also. It's going to be a while before I start sounding positive, but bear with me. Not every movie I watch this month is complete shit, but these first 10 or so are awful. This one, another awful movie, generic as hell, lame kills, all off camera, not scary or even interesting killer. He's not really mysterious. He just likes to kill bridesmaids or brides to be, whatever. Just, it's fucking awful. Tom Hanks is in it a minute at best. And then Paul Gleason as well. You do get to see an actor from Friday the 13th Part 2, which made me smile, so I'll give it that. But it's a cheaply made film, like made for TV, it looks like. It's awful. Nothing good I can say about this movie either. Fuck it in its stupid face. Number 35 is a movie called Effects, even though it really has zero effects in it because of its ultra low budget. Obviously, I mean, judging by the look of it, I didn't research it, but I can probably bet that this movie was made for like $6,000 or some shit. So I could make this movie. I don't want to say I could make it. I could fund this movie with the money I have. So this movie looks like it's that fucking cheap. It has Tom Savini in it, and I think another actor from like Day of the Dead. So it's got familiar faces in it for sure, but that doesn't save this film because it is trash to me. And another movie that somehow has more than 5 on IMDb, twice that IMDb fucked my ass this month. Like, oh, it's a good movie, because 5 to me is average, but this is way below average. This is just absolutely awful. I liked what they were going for with the plot. I'll give it that. It's like a movie within a movie. That you got a director who's trying to make like a snuff film. He's secretly filming like the gaffer and DP. I thought that was an interesting idea for a movie, but it just is not executed well, and it's not engaging. The movie is boring as shit to me. So there you go. FX, number 35. Number 34, I've already reviewed, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3. Better watch out for this terrible movie. Check out that review if you want to hear all my thoughts. And the next one will be another movie I already reviewed for New Year's Eve, and that is GhostKeeper. So if you want to hear all my thoughts there, go check out that review. Next up, 32, we got Nightmare City by Umberto Lenzi. This has a bunch of like zombie, vampire, they're like zombies and vampires. It's like a virus movie and a zombie movie and a vampire movie all together. It's weird. It's like an action film too, but not good. There's a bunch of zombies with guns and knives. That's different, and that's the only thing that really stands out about this movie. It's very bad. It's boring as shit. And then to top it all off, at the end, it's like, oh, it's all a dream or a premonition or whatever. Did it happen or is it gonna happen? I don't know, and I don't care. Next up is a movie that's obviously like trying to be a psycho ripoff, and that is William Freud's Cries of the Night, aka Funeral Home. He did Killer Party, a much better film, and this has 2 actors from My Bloody Valentine and the same cinematographer as Scream. Those are the most interesting things about this movie, because it's pretty awful. Awful transfer, very awful transfer. When I say that, I mean it's awful. Like, 20/20 vision isn't going to help you see what the fuck's happening on screen. You get like a Steve Christie moment in the movie where a person gets a flashlight in their face and they go, "Oh, hi. Oh, what are you doing?" Stab. Off-camera kills. Bad kills. Lame as fuck. And then you get the exposition dump at the end. Again, lots of little things that are clearly taken from Psycho. Next up is a movie I already reviewed, but I don't think that review is even up yet, and that is Cannibal Apocalypse. This has John Saxon. It is a cannibal virus movie, so that's kind of different. Usually cannibals are cannibals by choice, but in this movie, people are cannibals because of a virus that was from Vietnam. It's got like a bit of a social commentary about Vietnam War and the effects of it, blah, 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 stuff like that. So it's got something to say, I guess. There's a little bit more substance here with this film, but it's still boring to me. I did not enjoy it. It could have been way more gory, or at least way more entertaining, but it wasn't. John Saxon could not save this film for me. I know it has a lot of fans. It's the cult classic. There's even a Blu-ray release for it that I blind bought. I wish I did not do that, because, like I said, not a fan of this movie, but I watched it because it came out in 1980, and I wanted to do a top 10 1980s movies rankings, so that's why I watched it. But yeah, not a good one to me, so skip it. Next up is another zombie movie called Night of the Zombies. This has music by Goblin, and you get a kid zombie that gets shot, which I thought was cool. Lots of nudity from the main character in the movie, who gets the most grisly death of them all, like a fist up in her mouth, up her like throat, and like her eyes get poked out from inside. So that was something notable from the film. Other than that, this movie is like 20 minutes too long. Lots of animal footage, scenes that extend way too long, like things just going on for way too long. It has major pacing issues, and yeah, it's just the least intimidating zombies I've ever seen on film, too. Next up is Blood Beach. I watched this one on accident, thinking it was a 1980 movie, but it's actually 1981. So I'll be talking about this movie again next month when I do my top 10 1981 movies. This will not make the top 10, though. It would probably make the bottom 5. So, Blood Beach. What this movie has going for it, it has John Saxon. It's also got the guy from Rocky and somebody from like Schizoid that I watched recently. And we get to see a dog get decapitated. It gets his head eaten right off. That's pretty cool. And so yeah, this movie has also the best tagline ever. It's like awesome. So the tagline is basically a joke that you would only get if you knew the tagline for like Jaws 2, I think. And this tagline is, "Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, you can't even get to it." Haha, because the beach will swallow you. When you see the creature at the end, I thought that was very stupid looking. I did not like the alien creature or whatever the hell it is at the end. I thought the ending was very anticlimactic, and all the kills were very repetitive and goreless. I did like seeing that beach rapist get his dick and crotch mauled and eaten. So that was noteworthy. Another little silly moment in the film that stood out. And the boom mic goof within the film. I thought the performances in this movie were way better than expected for a silly film like this. Blood beach and people getting like sucked into the sand. The performances are actually not that bad, but this movie is way too serious. It should have been way more playful. Next up is Death Ship, which I think is a remake of another movie called Death Ship or Ghost Ship from even before, like the 50s or something. And then there was also a remake in 2002 called Ghost Ship, which is far superior than this movie. This movie was not good. This has a bunch of kid characters in the movie, so you know they're going to make it by the end of it, so there's no suspense there. You're like, oh, they're going to make it, and they do. You got George Kennedy and Richard Crenna, a.k.a. Trotman, from Rambo. I like that the ship in this movie is mean and it messes with people. It's like psychologically torturing them. It like possesses one of them for some reason. I feel like the ship's history is not really explored all that well, or if not at all, from what I can remember, it's not explored at all. Like, they should have explored that more. And there's very questionable editing decisions and just not really a whole lot of tension. There's some decent atmosphere with the ship, and I really liked the score. I thought the score was haunting, and that's about it. So let's move on. Next two movies I already have reviews for, so let's breeze right by this. Return of the Living Dead, Brave to the Grave. Check out that review. Not a good movie, obviously. It's pretty low on this list. And the next movie will be To All Goodnight, a very bad slasher movie, but kind of so bad that it's kind of good because of some of the questionable things in it. decisions and whatnot that the director made. David Hess from The Last House on the Left. Yeah, very poorly made movie. Next up is Camp Coldbrook. This is a very generic movie. It's kind of like a Grave Encounters. People who have like a TV show and they're going to get canceled. They got to make a hell of an episode to save their careers. So they go to this Camp Coldbrook, and it's just jump scare after jump scare and just fucking terrible, bad ending. Pissed me off. But I like seeing Daniel Harrison here. I like seeing Chad Michael Murray. Love him. But that's it. Like, they're the only two things about the movie that are great. Like, the acting's good. It's shot well. Looks good. But that's it. It's very generic. Next up is a movie that has like 3 fucking titles. So I'll just say one of them. The Grim Reaper from 1980. This is an Italian flick. And has a very gruesome opening and a very gruesome scene towards the end where a chick's pregnant, like 9 months. It looks like she's about to pop. The guy sticks his hand up her vagina, rips the baby out, and then starts eating it on screen. Does not cut away. Awesome. The music is atrocious in this film. Very bad. And also some pacing issues in this movie also. I was very bored at times. And the killer's look in this movie, the cannibal guy, he just doesn't really look all that scary to me. But I do like that he eats his own guts as he's dying, kind of like something out of Ricky-O. Next up is a movie that I'm going to review for Mother's Day this year. Can you guess what it is? Mother's Day. I think this is a trauma flick. I wasn't crazy about almost anything in this movie, so spoiler for that review coming later on this year. I did like that the chemistry between the 3 main chicks in the movie, and I like that they fight back by the end. One of the girls dies, so the other 2 get revenge for her. So I like that aspect. I like the revenge plot in the 3rd act. But the kills are weak, the ones that we do get. I do like the subversion of expectations in the open, where you think like the old lady's gonna get it, but actually she's the main villain. That kind of stuff. Spoiler, whatever. I thought that was cool open, cool-ish, decent 3rd act, but everything in the middle was just boring for me. So Mother's Day is number 22 for me. Next up, we got Schizoid. This is a giallo-like slasher, POV, killer, whodunit, black gloves, shiny scissors for weapons. As a weapon, you got Christopher Lloyd in here, you got the chick from Blood Beach, which I was just talking about, and you got the guy from Dream Warriors, Dr. Gordon? Gordon? Where's Gordon? Friday the 13th final chapter, in case you don't know what I'm quoting there. They say that dog's name like 100 times in that movie. Gordon, where's Gordon? So, yeah, there's little silly moments in the movie for sure, but it's lacking the gore. This is a slasher. It's 1980. You gotta get the gore in there. All right, you got to get it. And the cops in this movie are completely useless by the end of it. You could have taken every scene with them out of the movie. And I do like how abrupt the end is. Like, it's one of those 80s movies where, like, as soon as the killer's killed, it's just like freeze frame, credits roll. Like, doesn't breathe, it doesn't go on an extra couple minutes and like simmer down. Nope, it's all right, killer's gone. All right, roll credits. So I like that ending. But yeah, it's a slow movie. It paced pretty slow for me. It dragged a little bit. So again, not that well paced of a movie. Next up is Return of the Living Dead, Necropolis. I already reviewed it, so again, if you want my full thoughts on this movie, go check out that review. Next up is a movie that's only this low because of its rewatchability factor, and that is Cannibal Holocaust. This is not a movie that I will just stick on randomly, like, oh, let's watch this movie. No. Not saying it's a bad made movie. It's a very well made movie. I like the story. It's unique. It's one of the first found footage movies, if you ask me. This is way before Blair Witch. I mean, it's literally found footage. This guy goes to, South America, I think, somewhere down there, and he finds footage, takes it back with him to New York, and they start watching it. This one chick wants to make like a documentary out of it, and actually air this footage. Does she not, watch it first before she said that stupid statement? Guess not. And the other person's like, no, we shouldn't show it because look what the fuck's on it. We got all these animals getting mutilated, like real animals getting mutilated. You got like a turtle getting decapitated and they're like eating the turtle. Like, these are real animal deaths on film. And the movie feels real too. So that's another thing that makes it harder to watch, because you got real animals dying, but also the deaths with the humans feel real as well. And even the rape. So there's rape, cannibals, and just awful human beings in the movie. Animals being butchered. But ironically, despite how dark and just fucking macabre this movie is, the score is beautiful and amazing. So that's what I'll give this movie also, is that the score is tremendous. Next up is a movie called Dr. Butcher, MD, aka Zombie Holocaust. This movie has great gore effects. Just amazing. Eye gouges and just heads getting chopped to pieces by like boat propellers. Lots of nudity from the main actress here. But the transfer I saw was pretty terrible. Yeah, there's also like sickening autopsy gore in the film as well. So yeah, lots of gore. If you're looking for a gory cannibal movie, this is it. It's not a zombie movie. I don't remember there being zombies in the movie. This uses the same sets as Fulci's zombie movie, which made total sense because when I was watching the movie, I was getting major deja vu. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this, but I know I haven't. But that's because I saw Zombie by Lucio Fulci, and it was the same sets. For some reason, I forgot to include this movie on my list, and that is Contamination. This is an Italian alien ripoff, basically. It came out right after Alien, and it's got green alien eggs that look almost like the poster of Alien, and it has acidic liquids that come out of it, and when it touches you, it makes your chest and stomach burst open. This has fantastic effects and it very good gore. Very well paced. I was never bored. Some people say that this movie is kind of boring, but I disagree. I actually enjoyed this movie. It's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing from 1980, but I actually had a kick out of this movie, and it's got good goblin music, as always. But you know, the second half of the movie is, I think, where it falls off the rails a bit story wise. It's not that well written. It's got some silly, cringy dialogue, but I still had a good time watching this movie, so check out Contamination. Next up is the movie Alligator. This has Robert Forster, rest in peace, and the actor from The Cuckoo's Nest. I want my goddamn cigarettes! That guy. And this has a very high body count. I was not expecting that. This is only available on YouTube if you want to watch it. It's a very shitty transfer, so fair warning. But I love that we see a kid die in the movie. You know how I am. This kid actually dies in the pool, and not because he was just going out for a swim. No, he gets bullied before he gets killed. Like, he's being pushed into the pool when he doesn't want to go in the pool, and then he's eaten. So it's like, fuck, this kid had a rough day. He's getting bullied at like his own birthday party, and then he's getting eaten alive by an alligator in his own backyard. You get like a shoehorned love interest character in the chemistry between them just feels so forced. It's not natural at all, and I can't stand that shit. Next up is a movie I already reviewed, so once again, go check out that review. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 5, The Toymaker. Next up is a movie I watched because I thought it was a horror movie from the year 1980 for my 1980 ranking, and it turns out it's not really a horror movie. Not to me, anyways, and that is The Knife Configuration. This is more of a psychological drama to me. And this has an amazing cast and terrific performances. This is by William Peter Blatty, and he even has a funny cameo in the movie as a doctor who isn't really a doctor. He's just one of the crazy patients in the movie. There's all kinds of hilarious, wacky dialogue in the movie that just made me laugh. If there's anything I didn't really like about the movie, it's that I just thought that it was a little too long. It had slight pacing issues, and the whole like biker scene towards the end I thought was way longer than it needed to be. Next up is an Argento flick, his very first flick and his least favorite flick of his filmography, and that is The Cat of Nine Tails. This is a very, decent movie. I don't want to say it's great or anything. It's definitely not anywhere near my top like 5 Argento flicks, or maybe even top 10 if I watched all his movies. This is definitely towards the bottom, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a little too long, if you ask me, but I did like all the quirky characters within it. I was somewhat intrigued with the mystery. I like mysteries like this, but I just feel like the ending should have been a little bit better. Like, I feel like the killer's death in this movie could have been way more grand. I like the main characters in this movie, the whole, relationship between the, like, uncle and his niece, and some of the kills in here, the ones that are on screen, like the guy gets pushed in front of the train. It's very Argento, it's stylized, and I just really enjoyed that, and very Italian sounding score. Next up is a Christopher George movie that ripped off Jaws completely, and that is Grizzly. This movie is so bad it's good. Really enjoyed this one. It's got bad acting and bad ADR, but boy did I enjoy seeing this bear smack the head off of a horse and then just smack the shit out of this other guy, and then he gets blown up with a fucking bazooka. Like, this movie ripped off Jaws in so many ways. It's laughable. It's so hilarious. Next up is a movie I also reviewed, and that is Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4, Initiation by Brian Yuzna. If you want to hear my thoughts on this movie, go check out that review. Number 11 will be Fade to Black. This is a Irwin Yablans production, and there's even a Halloween poster, and you can hear Halloween on the TV at one point. This movie is about a guy who just loves movies. He's always quoting movies, and when he starts killing people in this movie, he starts like reenacting scenes from his favorite films. And I really love all that. I really love the main character in this movie, the main actor. I thought he did a really good job. And I just really dug his performance. And I just really like the concept of the film overall. Top 10. Number 10 will be Run. This is a movie with, again, amazing performances and really good tension. It's very nail-biting. But it's not the most original movie ever. There's other movies like this. You kind of see where it's heading as you're watching the movie. So that's why it's not really much higher. And I thought that the very end, the ending scene, is a bit silly. Like, I wish they would have went a different direction. Number 9 is a movie that is very unique. And it's also very hard to watch. I will never watch it again, more than likely. And that is Irreversible. This is a good movie, but it's very hard to watch. Like, you feel dirty watching this movie. The camera work in the beginning is very dizzy. If you get motion sickness easily, then this movie is probably going to make you sick. The camera just keeps moving and moving and moving. Very interesting camera work within the film. I love that there's like, I think every scene in this movie is like a one-shot take. At least a lot of them. There's a lot of one-shot takes, like scenes that go on for like over 5-10 minutes. And it's just all one take. And that's amazing to me. Like, that's an accomplishment right there. And the characters feel real. The movie feels real because of it being like all one take. And just, I really like the chemistry between the main girl and her boyfriend. And there's lots of gratuitous nudity in this movie. Lots of male nudity too. And they go to that gay club called Rectum. And what makes this movie so hard to watch, in case you're wondering, is it's a rape movie, and there is a 10+ minute rape scene that is all one take, and the woman is just getting plowed on the ground, and then just her head, after she's raped, is bashed into the ground again and again. Like, after he finishes with her, he just takes her head up and starts bashing her head into the ground, as if he didn't already fucking, like, do enough to her. So yeah, watching that rape scene is why it's not going to go any higher than this. It's a very well made movie, but fuck, man, that rape scene was awful. Awful. It's supposed to be, but yeah. Number 8 is Silver Bullet. Stephen King's Silver Bullet with Corey Haim and Gary Busey. This is a very fun werewolf movie, and just like a lot of other werewolf movies, it's a full moon like every single night for some reason. And I love the cool wheelchair in this movie. It makes me want to be a paraplegic. And very ironic name for the wheelchair. And there's some gore in here, some decent transformation effects. I guessed who the werewolf was going to be, like, instantly. Like, as soon as I saw the character, not even, like, when he was properly introduced. Like, I just saw the character in the background. I was like, it's that character. And it was. Number 7 is a movie called Sleep Tight. This is a movie by Spain. I think it's in Spain, or maybe it's Mexico. I don't know. It's a Spanish flick. And this movie is about a guy who's depressed. He's never felt happy a day of his life, and he finds out one day that the thing that makes him actually feel happy is making other people unhappy. So I love the concept of this movie. It's very fucked up. This main guy is evil as hell, and I love the very downer ending of this film. So just very messed up movie, and very intriguing, very intense at times. So very suspenseful movie. Really enjoyed it. Check it out. Number 6 will be Christmas Evil. I've already reviewed it for Christmas Eve, so if you want to hear all my full thoughts on this movie, check that out. Next up is an old anthology movie called Tales from the Crypt. This has 5 stories in it, and in 4 of the 5 stories, you got 4 people who are bad, and they're doing bad things, and they're getting punished, and then the one guy's story, the monkey paw one, like, he's not really a bad guy, he's just going bankrupt, and then he gets the worst punishment of all. I didn't understand that. Like, why was the bankrupt guy getting punished? He didn't do shit. He wasn't planning on murdering anybody or anything like that. Everybody else was an evil person. This guy wasn't. And his wife fucks him over with her 3 wishes. It's the least, good skit out of the 5 for sure. But I like all 5 of the segments. So they're all very good. You got a Christmas one. You got this one that turns into like a fucked up game of, Saw, kind of like a Saw trap with the walls of razor blades and a hungry dog. And you got a Christmas themed one and the 3 Wishes one and a Valentine's Day one also, I think. That was pretty messed up and cruel. It's a very good anthology movie. It's a classic and definitely worth checking out. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe, so go watch that. Number 4, we'll go to David Cronenberg and Stephen King's The Dead Zone. This has Christopher Walken, and it's produced by Deborah Hill, who did Halloween. And I like that this movie has 2 foreshadowing moments in it about Sleepy Hollow. Like, you got Christopher Walken, who plays Sleepy Hollow, and there's 2 lines in this movie that foreshadow the fact that he's going to be in that movie, which made me laugh. And this movie has one of the weirdest suicide scenes ever. I didn't understand what the hell was going on there. The guy puts like scissors in his mouth. Why would you kill yourself like that? But yeah, really good performances, very engaging story. Really enjoyed this movie. Absolutely dug the hell out of it. So check out The Dead Zone. Number 3, we'll go to Cape Fear. This is a Martin Scorsese film, and it is a remake, I believe, and it has Robert De Niro and a couple other people like Nick Nolte and Juliette Lewis and so on and so forth. It has a great cast, amazing performances, great tension throughout. Love this, character getting revenge on his lawyer. It's kind of like a law-abiding citizen. He's been studying the law while in jail. Except in this movie, you kind of don't root for him. Like in Law-Abiding Citizen, I rooted for Gerard Butler. But in this one, I'm not really rooting too much for Robert De Niro because he's a piece of shit in this movie and in real life. And number 2, we'll go to Braindead, Peter Jackson's Braindead. I have a review out for this one, I think. If not, it will be out soon. So, yeah. I don't want to talk too much about it because I already have a lengthy review coming out for it if it isn't already out by the time this is uploaded. But yeah, this is just one of the greatest horror comedy zombie movies ever made. It is one of the goriest films ever made. It's hilarious. It's over the top. There's some jokes and humor in this movie that don't land for me. Like the whole priest thing that everybody loves, I thought that was the worst, segment of the film. I just thought that was too much. That's really about it. The whole baby thing is absolutely hysterical. The third act, the lawnmower, amazing. And like the giant mother. This movie is just a blast. And just my personal favorite viewing experience. My favorite movie that I watched this month that you probably won't agree is that great is Landmine Goes Click. Yes, I really enjoyed this movie. I just dug the hell out of it. It is such an emotional film. This one also has rape in it, like Irreversible, but this one is not as disturbing as that one. This has some really good acting in it. I really love the setting and just the concept behind it. It only works if these characters don't know how landmines work. And if you know how landmines work, you're just kind of screaming at the screen the whole time, like, "You idiot! Landmines don't just blow up when you step off; they blow up right away, you fucking moron." But it's not like this movie didn't know that. No, they do acknowledge all these things. Like every question I had, every like nitpick I had, they answer them, and I just love that this movie is so dark at the end. Like this movie ends with a gut punch, and it's extremely intense and also very engaging. Like a lot of the other movies I was talking about, like I was engaged with these characters the whole time in the story. Just loved it. I love that it took a completely unexpected route in the third act towards the very end. I just did not see that coming. It's a revenge movie in the third act, but it goes in a different direction than most revenge movies do. So yeah, that's my favorite movie that I watched in December. What is your favorite movie from this list? Or what is your favorite movie that you watched last month? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.